Hi guys, welcome back to UKDiver. It's your first time here, then just welcome. I'm very glad that you're here. I'm very glad to be here myself. But where is here? Well, this is my little work corner, my little video editing corner that I've been using at home since kind of COVID. What I've got for you today is something a little bit different. I was cruising through Instagram the other day, and on Monday I found this post from Dan, which, if you don't know what Dan is, Dan stands for the Divers Alert Network, and basically it's an insurance company, diving, travel insurance for diving that covers divers specifically. And don't worry about it, because I'm going to do another video later on that discusses what insurances you need for diving in the UK and diving abroad. So keep an eye out for that video. Hit the subscribe button because there's going to be some interesting information on that. But anyway, that's who Dan is. This was from Dan US, so the other side of the pond. And what caught my eye is because the post said that the webinar was going to cover some controversial issues in diving. Now, we all like a bit of a controversial issue, don't we? So I thought, ooh, I'll watch that. So anyway, it's being broadcast live at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Well, that turned out to be about midnight here, and on a school night, that doesn't work for me because I do have a job as well as doing YouTube. So I've got it lined up here, and I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to give you my reaction and my thoughts, because some of these controversial issues that they said are non-issues as far as I'm concerned. So just let me run you through them. So what we're going to discuss is oxygen cleaning required only for mixes for more than 40%, or should air cylinders be cleaned as well? That's interesting. I didn't even know that's controversial, but I don't understand why you would clean air cylinders, but we'll hear what they've got to say. Should cylinder valves be opened all the way, or should divers turn them a quarter turn back? Again, not really controversial. Old school people turn them back quarter because that's what they were told when they were trained. What you should do now is you just open them up, because the reason for that was the valves were old and crap and not very well made. They are very well made today and so forth. So anyway, let's see what they say about that. This one's brilliant. I don't understand how this is controversial. Is there a difference between an SMB and a DSMB? Yes, there is. One's designed to be launched from underwater and one isn't. So I don't know why that's controversial. Again, we shall see. Should a cylinder be analysed every time, or only when they contain mixed gas? Which suggests that you should be testing air. I'm not sure why you should test air. So I don't know. Perhaps that's just a thing to, be sure you're breathing what you breathe. But again, we'll have a watch. And then, what is the difference between a diver who is certified and a diver who is qualified? I would suggest semantics, because they're both the same as far as I'm concerned. So again, we'll have a look and see A, why they think this kind of stuff's controversial, and B, what their advice is. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to play this. The video itself's about 47 minutes long. With my ranting, this could be well over an hour. I'm going to skip through any of the non-relevant stuff. I will leave a link to the video down below and up there, so you can go and watch this for yourself and listen to the full video. And if this really does send me into a proper full-on rant, I may even well break this down into 2 videos. So we shall see. So anyway, let's get cracked on. Okay, so live event, yeah. Let's scooch along till it actually starts. Okay, here we go. Okay, just one thing right from the start, guys. The names are down here, and looking at the jobs, you've got Vice President Safety Services, Director of Training, the Dan Risk Mitigation Coordinator, and also somebody from Safety Service. So this is their safety team. So I'm expecting this to be super conservative, okay? Because these guys are born on safety, so they probably don't think you should be diving in the first place, but it's going to be conservative. Do you know what I mean? Anyway. Okay, so we're starting with a cylinder valve 1.
Open to the end of it, basically, and historically what happened was we started with a quarter turn.
Okay, guys, so not controversial at all, this is. So what they've just confirmed is you should now dive with your cylinder valve fully open. And the reason for the quarter turn back is historical, and it is historical, okay? And I can tell you exactly what he's going to say. It's basically to do with valve wear, valve locking up and all this kind of stuff. And back in the day when valves weren't machined very well, it used to be the case that, you know, you would give it a quarter turn back to prevent it from locking up and prevent there being wear in certain parts of the valve as well. So unfortunately, some quite modern instructors, because this is one of these myths that's gone on and on and on. So, you know, somebody learnt it back in the 1960s, they taught it to their students then become instructors, and without reading the instructor manual or keeping up to date, regurgitate this crap about you need to give it a quarter turn back. My own personal opinion on it is, you know, if you want to give your cylinder a quarter turn back, that's entirely up to you. If it's somebody in the 60s, then that's probably how they were taught. If it's somebody in the 20s or 30s, those have been taught by an idiot instructor. And I can say that because my friends Mark and Holly from Blue Horizon Diving are both highly qualified PADI instructors, and even they say that in the PADI manuals it says specifically that you do not mention the quarter turn back, it is no longer relevant, and yet they still blurb it out. So that's where this comes from. So is it controversial? No, not really. Dan have moved with the times and said you have your valve fully open, you should have your valve fully open, and that's pretty much the end of it. So no controversy there. So, and there we are, guys. Okay, so the old guy at the end said that, you know, he was taught to do a quarter turn back, and even though he works for Dan and he was the director of something, he says he still gives it a quarter turn back to prevent pressure on the back seal. So that's the guy who works for Dan who's telling us what we should do, and then saying personally, screw it, I'll do it my own way. So there you are, that's it. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, this really is a great question, and it's one that pertains to all.
Okay, so should we be testing every cylinder, whether we think it's nitrox or air is the question. So I guess that deviates a little bit from the way they phrased it on their Instagram post, whereas it should you be testing air. Now that didn't make any sense to me, or did you test air? So that the question's already moved a little bit on this. So it's not whether you should be testing air, it's whether you should be testing the cylinder to see if it's air. So that makes a bit more sense.
Diver safety when in the water, and what I will be breathing on that dive, so keep that in mind.
Okay, that's really interesting how she phrases that. If I ask for 21% oxygen, nobody asks for 21% oxygen, that's air. So you just go in and say, right, I'm having an air fill. And then she says about, oh, okay, you know, perhaps the filling station guy's having a bad day, perhaps he didn't hear you, that kind of thing. In the UK, it's slightly different. I think this is possibly more an issue over the pond because of the way that they do nitrox. So most of the places you go into the States where you ask for a nitrox fill, they will actually blend it through the compressor using something called a stick, which I'm not going to go into. What I'll do is I'll leave you a link to one of Alec Pierce's videos where he talks about stick blending. But basically it's they put the oxygen into the air, mix it, pre-mix it before it goes into the compressor, and then it goes through. Now the reason I say this might be one of the issues that they're on about is because over here in the UK we do what's called partial pressure blending. We don't blend gas through the compressor, and there's a few reasons for that. It wears the compressor out more, it's more risky, and can probably lead to cock-ups like what the lady here is talking about. Because if you're pumping oxygen into the compressor and you don't realise you haven't switched it off or something like that, then there is a chance that you could put that gas into what's effectively an air cylinder. Over in the UK, like I say, we do partial pressure blending, and the way that we do that is we put neat oxygen into the cylinder first, then swap it over and put the compressed gas in. So for somebody to accidentally put 32% in would be a bit of a challenge, I've got to be honest, especially if you're there with your cylinder watching them do it and you notice that actually they've screwed it onto the nitrox blending panel and they appear to be squirting neat oxygen into it. It's probably not as easy to do that as it is, I guess, to forget to switch the blending stick off on the compressor that you're running it through. I don't know about that. I mean, she's absolutely right. The only way to test what you're breathing is to analyze it. But it's about a risk profile, isn't it? I mean, if you ask for air and say they do give you nitrox, so what's the risk? Okay, well, the risk is that you exceed your MOD. Now, again, on my dive profile, this is the personal way I like to dive. If I'm diving to 20 meters or less, I will dive on air, okay? If I dive 20 meters or more, I'm always on nitrox anyway, because I like the benefits of having nitrox. So that means if I'm doing a 20 meter or 21 meter dive, I'm going to be testing that cylinder anyway to test that I've got the nitrox mix that I asked for. If I'm doing a dive to 15 meters and I take my cylinder into the fill station, I say, oh, you just top it off with air. Even if they were to give me a 36, 32, 28, something else like that, what difference does it make? I'm diving on air tables. I'm not going anywhere near the MOD. I mean, what Christ, the MOD of 20 meters is like 50 something percent. I use a 50% deco gas when I'm doing, technical deco diving, and that's got an MOD of 21. So 20, it's going to be like 50, 52%. Now, there is no way on God's green earth that any filling station is going to put nearly 50% O2 in my twins at the back. That's just not going to happen. It's going to, cost them a fortune. Like sup a whole J. So I kind of understand, and she's absolutely right. The only way to be absolutely sure is to check. But realistically, in the UK at least, to get a mix other than air when you've asked for air is quite a difficult thing to do, and would be quite exceptionally bad to get it wrong, just because of the way we blend gas and the fact that if you dive a half decent profile, even if they did give you nitrox instead, then you wouldn't notice it anyway, because you're either A, going to be asking for nitrox, or B, diving air well within the MOD of any sort of back gas mix you can get, which for BSAC is only up to 36%. So I really don't see it as a bigger issue as maybe that they're making it out. I'd be quite interested to see, if you asked for, if you just went into a dive shop and said, oh, I can have some air, and you ask for the analyzer afterwards to check it, I think you get some raised eyebrows as well. But anyway, let's carry on and listen to what else she's got to say.
Dan's stance on this whole issue is to analyze every cylinder every time, even if...
Well, there you go. Dan's position, rather unsurprisingly, is to analyze every cylinder every time. Super risk averse, which is not to be surprised from their safety team. Now, do I agree with that? Absolutely not. No, not at all. It's ridiculous. So, okay, let's just have a little think about when it would be stupid to analyze, every time. Last week I was diving with Safari divers in Lanzarote. Okay, they only have a compressor. They don't have O2 on site. Would I analyze any cylinders I got from them? No, because the only thing they could supply me with air. If I went to A Taker over at Hull here, which is one of our training lakes, again, Mike only has a compressor. He does not have O2. If you go to Cape and Ray, okay, you don't need to analyze their cylinders because they only have a compressor. So this is wrong, because again, if I took an analyzer from a fill from Cape and Ray where they don't have O2, that's crazy, isn't it? That's so I think this has to be managed with a bit of common sense. Over in the US and places like that where divers tend not to own their own cylinders, they will go to a dive center and they will always hire a cylinder or get a cylinder from them. Yeah, probably, I agree with it. But I think this is a US/Europe kind of thing. Here in the UK, we tend to own our own cylinders, control of our own cylinders. I mean, the pictures they've got up here, if you watch the video, is just they've got thousands of Ali 80s and they're all painted different colors and this, that, and the other. The way they fill, like I say, with the stick method, it's probably easier to make a balls up than it is in the UK where we do partial pressure blending. But do we need to analyze every cylinder every time? Absolutely not. It doesn't make any sense, especially if you know that the place can only deliver you air in the first place. They don't have oxygen on site, then it's a no-brainer, isn't it? That's stupid. Anyway, carrying on.
21% is in that cylinder. Make sure you take a few moments, analyze it to confirm just that. And if you ask for nitrox, we still want to confirm that percentage, because again, human error does.
No, I would definitely want it. You see, that's an interesting comment. So she's like really emphasising the fact that you need to analyse to make sure it's right if you ask for air. But then it's kind of almost blasé of like, oh, well, if you ask for nitrox, well, you still want to analyse it. Well, of course you still want to analyse it. That's the risky bit, because someone may have genuinely made it balls up if they're putting O2 in it. Definitely want to do it when you're asking for nitrox to make sure you're getting what you asked for. So yeah, interesting.
It would be a great idea for operators to start providing analyzers for their clients. Of course.
This is getting more bizarre. Now she's saying it's a great idea that dive shops should give their clients an analyzer. I don't know what the process is over in the US when you get nitrox, to be honest with you. I've never dove in the US, but over here in the UK, if a dive shop is selling you nitrox, part of the sign-off procedure for you to get that nitrox is that you check the nitrox yourself and you have to sign for it, so they will be giving you that anyway. This seems to be like an optional thing, so if any of my US subscribers or viewers are over there, then let me know, like, does this not happen every time? Do you just take it on gospel? If someone says it's 32%, you don't have to sign anything to say you've tested it? That's very bizarre. In the UK, that's irrelevant. The dive centre will get you to test the cylinder, or will have you present while the cylinder's tested, so you can see for your actual self, you know, that you're getting what you pay for and you're getting what you're expecting as well. So that's a really odd comment.
They're going to get used, they will also a really good idea. We understand.
Wow. Buying your own analyzer. Okay, these are not cheap bits of kit, guys. You know, I mean, have I got my own analyzer? Obviously, well, because I'm anal, okay? That's what you. If you want to get one and it makes you feel happy, like it does me, then buy absolutely, you know, absolutely get one. But they are a couple £100, and there is, I can honestly say, there's absolutely no need to get one at all. Like I say, when you go to a dive shop and you buy your nitrox, you will test it there. This is a little odd. There's a lot of this I don't agree with, so perhaps this is controversial. This has turned out to be more controversial than I thought. So this is a controversial issue, and I don't agree with Dan for the reasons that I've said. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. And like I say, if you are in the US, please do let me know, because like I say, I would imagine it's standard practice to get the customer to test the gas that they're buying. So I'd be really interested to hear your comments on that. So please do leave a comment down below. Anyway, let's skip on to the next topic.
Unfortunately, guys, the next topic is going to have to wait till the next video, because it's the big one where Dan tried and persuade us that we should have even our air cylinders O2 cleaned, and I'm afraid that does get my blood boiling a little bit. So that is one you are not going to want to miss out on. So please do hit that subscribe button, do hit that like button if you found this video even slightly useful, or maybe even a little entertaining, because it would be appreciated, as it does help the channel out. And do remember to hit that notification bell, so when part 2 comes out, you will be notified. But other than that, guys, I will, as always, see you on the next one, which hopefully will be part 2. Have a good one.